Hey guys, it's Jara with Wicked Prepared. Welcome to the channel. We are all about preparedness and self-reliance. So if that sounds like something that's right up your alley, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any of our video uploads. One of the things I like to do is put together emergency meal kits. Now we know it's important to have a good supply of shelf-stable food in the event of an emergency. But it's also important to remember that in an emergency, we're going to be stressed, we're going to be overwhelmed. The last thing we might want to do is think about how we're going to put together a meal. So I like having kits all put together with everything I need to create a complete meal, ready on my shelf. The great thing is I can use these not only in a large-scale emergency, but just a regular old dinner emergency. You know those nights that you get home late, you don't know what you're going to make for dinner, you didn't have time to stop at the store, those kind of things. That's when having a well-stocked food storage can really come in handy. I did a video a while ago on 5 emergency meal kits. Now these kits were complete meals that had 2 criteria. Number 1, they required no additional water to be used because in an emergency, your water is a precious commodity and you might not want to use it in cooking. And the second criteria was that it was something you could eat without cooking or heating if need be. It is important to have those types of meals on hand. There may be times, for whatever reason, when it's not practical or safe for us to cook or heat food. But for those of us who are reasonably well prepared, we do have methods to cook when the grid is down. So for that reason, I do like to have meal kits on hand that do require some cooking. Today I'm going to be putting together a homey chicken and dumplings meal kit. Now these are the ingredients that I'm going to be using for this meal. I've got a can of chicken gravy, a can of cream of chicken soup, a can of Nestle Media crema, a large can of chunk chicken breast. I've got a can of mixed vegetables here. And for the dumplings, I've got a bag of Bisquick complete biscuit mix. It only requires water, and I do have a bottle of water here. Now the emergency meal kits that I've done before, I've put together in Ziploc bags. But I recently found this book called It's in the Bag, and this is by Michelle and Trent Snow. And she actually puts her meal kits, this bag is fantastic, by the way. If you want to check this out, I'll have a link to it down in the description. This is all full of just this type of recipes, all shelf-stable ingredients that you can keep all together. And what she does with hers is she puts them in like a plastic gift bag like this. And I really like that idea because it's got the square bottom, the gusseted bottom, so it can sit right on your shelf. It's got the handles. So I've ordered some of those. I don't have one for this meal tonight, but I've got some of those coming, and I think I'm going to start putting my emergency meal kits into those because I think that would be a lot more handy than the Ziploc bags that I've been using. So all we need to do to put this emergency meal kit together is to add all the ingredients into our bag. We've got the chicken, the can of vegetables, the media crema, got the bottle of water, and the package of biscuit mix. I've got the can of Campbell's soup and the can of gravy. So then the final step that you don't want to forget is to make sure that you put some sort of instructions inside. Just something that will tell you how to put this together. Now we've got a complete meal kit all ready to go. Now we've got a complete meal kit all ready to go on the shelf. Everything we need to complete this delicious meal. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we put this together and what it looks like when it's all finished. Okay, so what we're going to start by doing is just opening up these cans and dumping them right in our pot. So I've got the chicken gravy. And next I've got the cream of chicken soup. Now this is one instance where I really believe that the name brand is a little bit better. I'll usually use store brands, but I really like Campbell's soups better than store brands, at least in the cream soups. And I really love this skinny scraper for getting out all the contents of the can. This is from Pampered Chef. I've never found anything like this anywhere but Pampered Chef. Now I'm just going to start mixing this together. Just a little bit. Next we're going to add our veggies. Now I'm not going to drain the liquid from the veggies or the chicken. That's a little tip when you're cooking in an emergency. You want to use all the liquid in your cans. If you don't want to use it in your recipe, you can actually drink it. There's a little bit of salt and nutrients in the liquid from the canned vegetables. The canned chicken has broth in it. Canned fruits would have a little bit of juice in there usually that you can drink, or you could add to your oatmeal or whatever the case may be, but don't waste that liquid because in an emergency, liquid is precious. So we're going to pour that all in there. And next the chicken with all of its liquid as well. And then lastly, I'm going to add this can of media crema, which is basically a light cream in a can. This is a great item. I use this in so many things. And this will just add a little bit more creaminess to our broth. Now you can see the media crema is pretty thick. You can actually use this to make sour cream if you have white vinegar. And just put a tablespoon or two of white vinegar into the media crema, stir it around and let it set for a little bit, and you'll have sour cream. I've always thought that was pretty neat. Okay, I'm going to turn on my burner. I'm using my Coleman butane burner. This is really great for emergencies, but in this case I'm using it just because I can face you rather than back to at my stove. Alright, so I'm just going to let this heat until everything is good and hot and dissolved. And everything blends together very nicely. So while this is heating up, I'm going to be working on what we're going to use for the dumplings. I am going to put a lid on this because the lid will help keep the heat in. You don't want to waste any of your precious fuel. It's just going to help it to warm faster, so always use a lid when you can. So for the dumplings, I'm just going to be using this package of bisquick complete biscuit mix that just needs water. It just needs a half a cup of water, so this is super handy for emergencies. Alright, so I've got a half a cup of water here. I'm just going to use the same scraper that I used to empty the cans, one less dish to wash. I think you could probably even, it would be messy, but I've done this when I'm camping. You can even put the water right into the bag of mix and mix it up. It's kind of difficult, but it works. I've done that with cakes before when we're camping and I'm making a dump cake in the Dutch oven. Now I'm actually going to add an extra quarter cup of water because we want this dough a little bit less stiff than you would for actual biscuits. So that was a total of 3/4 of a cup of water, and the package called for a half a cup. Alright, so this is looking good, so I'm going to bring this back over. Now you can see that this is completely smooth, bubbling, simmering. I had to turn this burner down a little bit to make sure that it wouldn't burn. This is only about 8,000 BTUs. This is about the cheapest burner you can get, and it works really great. So now we're going to scoop our dumpling batter right in here. Now I'm going to be using my cookie scoop, but if this were an emergency and you didn't have a cookie scoop, you could totally just use 2 spoons, 1 spoon, a spoon you already used, mixing this up, anything. Just going to drop these in on top of the simmering stew, and I'm going to leave space in between every one because they will expand. Alright, so now we're just going to cover this up and let this simmer low. I'm going to probably turn this down a little bit. I don't know if you can see this, but it's really bubbling. So I'm going to cover it up and let it go for about 15 minutes. I've got that about as low as it can go. Alright, there it is. Alright, let's see how it looks. Wow. I'm going to turn off this burner. Now I had that turned as low as it would possibly go. And it really is simmering. Let this cool off for a minute before I serve it up. Alright, now that this has cooled off just a little bit, let's see if I can get this served up. Alright guys, that was really delicious chicken and dumplings. It was so rich, it was definitely very filling, very comforting. It's definitely just what you would want in an emergency, and it does not taste like emergency food. You could change it up a little bit if you wanted. You could add a second can of chicken if you wanted more chicken, or you could always use one of these Keystone cans. This one's turkey, but they have chicken also. Or if you have a pint of home canned chicken, you could add that as well. But I'm trying to do this with things that everyone can get, because not everyone has access to home canned chicken if they don't can their own. If you wanted, you could throw in another can of veggies. You could throw in maybe a small can of sliced mushrooms. I think that would be really good. I love mushrooms in anything. But this is another great emergency meal kit to have on your shelf. So I'm kind of torn, guys, because I know I've done a video before on emergency meal kits, and I think I put together 5 different kits in the same video. Now, those were sort of meals that didn't really require any cooking, so it didn't really seem like I needed to show you putting the ingredients together. So when I do this type of meal kit, I do want to cook it and show you the finished product. I know people like to see how things turn out when it's all put together. So what I'm wondering is, would you rather see several meal kits like this in one video, or would you rather see each meal kit on its own in a separate, shorter video? Let me know down in the comments what you would like better. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, leave me a chicken emoji down in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm Jara with Wicked Prepared. Survive today, thrive tomorrow. We'll see you next time.